Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We are absolutely delighted to welcome you to our overview of the SelectMainSites.com Business Intelligence Web Tool. My name is Elisa Sklar. I'm the VP of Marketing at GIS Planning. I am going to introduce our Ben from the Maine Department of Economic and Community Development. He is going to give us a few words of introduction in a moment. Ben, we're delighted to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
And Stevie Chavez, who is on our team here at GIS Planning, who works with communities across the East Coast and across Maine too, of course, and will be giving us a tour of the tool. Hello, Stevie. Happy to be here with you. What I do want to just say before I turn this over to you, Ben, and Stevie's going to give us this overview when you are done, is just some of the things that you should know about the tool itself, some of the things that she's going to talk about, the different tools, of course, the kind of design that we've got here, the engaging heat maps, the ability to save, the ability to share, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and the ways in which you can organize the information dynamically. So with that, what I'm going to do is turn this over to you, Ben, if you want to tell us a little bit about from your organization's perspective.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, and welcome everybody. I'm Ben Sturdivant with DECD, and just some background on the site. Sort of came about, we were doing a lot of investment attraction, which the state does, and receiving inquiries from site selectors, and we realized we needed a better tool for people to easily access demographic information and economic development statistics and properties, available properties. And we started researching things, trying to find something, and we were looking at what other states had, and Maine was one of the only states without a good web tool. So we wanted to remedy that. Went through RFP process to find the right solution, and GIS Planning. These guys had by far the best product for us. So we launched it, I think, in the spring, and the traffic's steadily been growing. Really, we're excited about the potential of it. Myself, I'm a map and demographics geek, so I enjoy using the tool and exploring, seeing what other states are doing. And just a warning, if you're like me, you can get sucked into it, and before you know it, your workday is ended and your TPS reports are due and spreadsheets and whatever else you're working on. So it's good to use it. We really appreciate all of the admins and their participation. So keep posting properties, keep sharing the data and linking to the site. I think that helps all of us, helps get more people interested in the state of Maine. Properties are mostly coming in from the New England Commercial Exchange, and it seems like most of the brokers have things listed. I've talked with Jay over in Auburn, and he had a few that he wanted to get on there that weren't on a broker's listing. So that's why it's important for us to collect as many as we can. These guys will talk a lot about a lot of the other features and tools that are part of Select Main sites. So if you have any properties you want to post, you can't do it. Most of the state's EDOs have accounts. I think all of the COGs, the KV COGs and the AV COGs, and those folks, I've been rolling them out to some of the bigger cities as well. But if you have any questions, just shoot me an email or call me, or I'm also happy to come visit and take a look at any properties you have. And with that, I'll turn it over to Stevie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ben. I am going to take my camera off here and I'm going to show my screen. So let me close this down. Elisa, can you see my screen?
We can, yep.
Okay, very good. I hate that I have to ask, but y'all, we just want to make sure we're all looking at the same thing. Yep. So as you can see, I'm on the MECD site. I'm going to show you a couple of features about the application that I think are going to make your lives a whole lot easier. Elisa mentioned the ability to save properties and share properties. Now we can compare properties. So we're just going to kind of go through all of that. I encourage, if you have not been on the application, to get on it and play around. You can't break it. Just push buttons, check in the detail, look at the information for your community, and I'll show you how to do that. So at first glance, you have the application, you have the lovely, gorgeous state of Maine here outlined. We have the ability to look at city, county, state, and regional information. So you can either enter in your city information. As you can see, it will self-populate, or you can just continue to add in additional letters before you find your community. I can look at sites, buildings, different sites by square feet or acres, sale or lease, and types of property. All filters is more of your power search. So if you have information about, for example, an address name or a lease or sale rate that you're looking for, or different various property assets, maybe you're looking for an incentive zone, this is where you can check that box, and everything that is not maybe, for example, in a brownfield or an enterprise zone will then will not populate. So only those that meet your criteria are left in your results folder. So that's just what we call kind of our power search. You also have the ability to search the map in different ways. For example, let's freehand draw. Now, you know, in site selection, a lot of times, you know, they don't really care what city and county they're in, as long as they're maybe close to water or a major intersection. So I can just draw a poorly drawn blob circle here, eliminating everything that's not in that circle and applying that filter to my search, and then I'm only going to be left with properties that meet my criteria within that area. You can see I've got this application up several times. That's just for the sake of time, just to show you various things. Another way to look for properties is Pinpoint. I can select any place on the map, select my pin, apply that feature to my search, and now I'm going to get all of the data within a user entered radius of this pinpoint. So this is really important. I used to be a client of GIS Planning when I was in economic development back in California, and I loved this tool because I would get those phone calls that would ask, hey Stevie, I've got a retail company who's looking at coming into our community, and they need the demographic makeup within 10 miles of a particular intersection, or 5 miles or 2 miles from a particular intersection. And this really allows you to do that. So I can really hone in and get that kind of information that I'm looking for. So that's super helpful. Once you have data as well, we're going to talk about this share button. Now, I've looked at different properties and I can see, wow, there's a couple of properties here that I want to save. So I'm going to save some of these in my Project Lobster and Project Donut Hole. Did you know, for example, that Maine was that's where the donut hole was invented? I love donuts, so that's a super special thing to my heart. So Project Donut Hole it is. So I've created some different folders here, and I have my different saved results, and I just hearted in my my property and put it in the appropriate folder. Now you can see I've got a couple of different folders, so I can look at Project Lobster and Project Donut Hole and the different properties that are within each folder. You do not need to register to use the application to not only find available sites and buildings, but data and community information, and or to create a folder and use the folders. So if you're working on 10 different projects coming into your community, putting a project folder together and saving properties for that folder is always super helpful. As well, I'm wanting to show this folder to my prospect. So I'm going to hit the share button, which is available throughout 99% of your GIS planning experience, and I can email directly within that share box. I can also copy this link. I always suggest you rename the link. No one wants to see code. Everyone gets very sensitive to that these days, rightfully so. So rename this and say, you know, for Project Lobster, these are the properties that I've identified for you to kind of check out. And you can also post them on social media. And this is a big deal because all the time on LinkedIn and different social media accounts, I can see a property that people are sharing, but when I click it, it doesn't do anything. This, when you click that property on that from that shared button, it's going to take you directly into this page live into the GIS application. So that means they're able to get all of the different property that they're looking for. Now, one of the new features that we just rolled out is the ability to compare properties. So I've got my 3 properties identified here, and I understand that they're not apples to apples, but we're going to compare them anyway. And so this is going to show us the different pictures and all of the different attributes that we have entered into the system from either the data feed or whoever entered in this property are going to be listed here, so I can side by side look at these properties to see which one meets my criteria. And once again, you have the ability to export this or to share that information. So it's a super helpful feature, and we encourage you to take advantage of that. So we're going to take a look here at, we'll do it this, I probably should have picked the other street because I could pronounce that. Oh, here we go, Dorigo Drive. I apologize if I haven't gotten that right. So I've clicked on this property, and now I'm looking at this property.
Dirigo.
Dirigo?
Yeah, it means I lead in Latin.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm sorry that I massacred that name. We were just talking about that before this call started. So you can see I've got my Google map view here. Again, all of our maps are completely interactive, so I can get a bird's eye view, I can move it around, I can get super close. One of our new features, and I really encourage you to get online and check this out, is our new 3D rendering. This is available for any property in the application. I can select my 3D rendering, and it's going to zoom me in. Now I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more so we can all see it, and I'm going to draw my building. Hopefully you can see my blue line right there. I'm just going to draw my building. It's not going to be really great or fancy. You can see I didn't miss my call for architect. And I'm going to make this a little taller. I think we need a taller building. We're looking for about, let's do 500 square feet or so, that just so we can see it. I think I'm going to make this an office building, so I'm going to put a couple of different floors in there. I can kind of change the decor around, and then I can also just take a look at this from multiple angles. So anyone who visits this application can draw a 3D building, and you can see there are multiple types of 3D buildings here to choose from. Anyone can draw a 3D building on any property. Once I've drawn this building, I think I like this drawing, so I'm going to apply this to the property card. I'm just going to call this number 1 and save it. And this is super important. I've saved this, but I'm the only one that can see it. If Ben goes to this property card on his laptop or his computer, he's not going to be able to see that I've drawn this building. Only I can see it unless I share it with a prospect. So you can draw a building. We can see this building. I've saved it to the property card. I'm the only one that can see it. And the MECD can look and see all of the different buildings that were drawn on any property, and they can actually make one a permanent part of a property card, but unless I share it, I'm the only one that gets to see it. So you can draw 15 different properties there, and you can share a couple of those with your prospects so they can get a real good idea of what their building could look like in this neighborhood here. All of our properties come standard with the 360 virtual tour, map view, street view, and 3D rotation. If you are a community economic developer or a broker, you can add properties to the back of the system. Go to the Add Properties button here in the back. You should be prompted with your email and password, and you can enter property information. You can also include custom tours, and that can be 3D drone imagery or custom tours that you've done maybe of the inside of a business or building, and so you can include those and easily attach those as well. So let's scroll down and look at, we have our property description as well as various details of the property, information about who to contact if I want more information about this property. And then I have all of this supporting data to back up this decision and help me really in my due diligence. So we have our occupational data. This is provided by MZ, and it's updated 2 times annually. I have my annual, hourly, and job information by both miles, minutes, occupation, and NAICS codes. So you have a lot of different options to be able to view this information. I can also look at it in heat signature. Now, heat signature is really kind of cool because it just gives us another way to look at data. I am a more visual person, so for me, the heat maps really allow me to gather information quickly, just about, you know, the darker colors are maybe where the more concentrated areas are, and then the lighter colors might be a little bit more light, or in this case, lesser income. We also, for those of you who have a colorblind diagnosis, for lack of a better word, I apologize for that, I have the ability to look at this information in patterns. So my husband is colorblind, and so this just allows a really creative way to look at that same data in a more visual way that someone with a colorblind diagnosis could actually view. So that's just a really, and any heat map that we have, you can always change between patterns and colors. So that's a really kind of cool tool to look at. Demographics, labor force, consumer expenditures, and that MZ or EMSI information that we just looked at, all is updated 2 times annually. So you don't have to worry about this information being outdated. On the demographic, labor force, and consumer expenditure information, I'm able to see this in not only report format, but also our graph format. Again, how my mind takes in property, and then we have our heat signature. So we have 3 different ways to look at that data, just right based on just the map. We have our 2021 as well as projected 2026 information. I think now we changed 0 to 60 minutes and 0 to 60 miles, and now it actually goes up to 300 miles. So you can really get out there in terms of capturing your information. If you've got a large commuting population, information like that is always really important. The minutes piece, I think, is kind of interesting because it allows your user to select the mode of transportation, the time, and the date. So for example, I'm going to get further for my demographic data, I'm going to get further on a Sunday at 2 o'clock than I would maybe on a Monday at 5 o'clock. So that is just where that information really is going to come in handy. And just like we saw before, we have our share button and we're able to share that information. So I encourage you to get on the reports, check out the reports. Consumer expenditures and labor force, kind of, it's the same type of data. It just breaks up different pieces of data where people are spending their money. Labor force, small businesses, wage and salary is by MSA, and this is going to break up different subcategories of occupations. So that's a little how that's different from the occupational data. And this is by MSA, where the occupational data is by zip code. So that's how those 2 reports are different. The business report is one of my favorite reports. I just love how detailed that gets. You can see we've got our main thoroughfare here, and I'm clicking on different businesses and little buttons here. Each color stands for a different industry, and so it's just showing me where all of these industries are. And then we also have a breakdown of these industries, so I can get really specific and look at maybe where my professional scientific companies are. I'm interested in consulting services, and all of these will map. And this information is updated as Info Group, otherwise known as Info USA, and actually now known as Data Axle. As they update their information, which is daily, this information should update as well. So again, and this goes now up to 300 miles. So that's really was kind of a cool change. Talent information is going to map out our learning institutions. So I can see our different learning institutions as well as our top programs and top universities by number of graduates and field of study. I can also look at subcategories, so I can see the type of degree that our graduates are graduating with and from which learning institution. So that really kind of helps back up that data about not only workforce, but the educational factor that's coming into your community and if that meets your company's criteria or not. And once again, share, share, share. You've got the ability to copy this and share this information. Map layers, we have various map layers here for you to select. So if you're looking for your user or website visitor, sorry about the clock, everyone, is looking at different map layers, you can activate any of them, and I can see these visually now on a map. So it just makes a very easy search feature, and no matter what you're doing, if you have map layers activated, when I use that share button, your recipient will also be able to see those map layers mapped on the map. So it's very helpful just when you're using that share button to activate all of that. So you've really done a lot of that due diligence and research for your prospect. Now for your communities, this is a really great way to take advantage of the application. So here we have Explore Communities. So I can look at any of the communities within the state and look at the community details, which provides us with an infographic that has a little bit of all of the different reports that we just saw. It has population, age, gender. We have some historical data that's there. Our population growth, we can see what a huge growth that was, which is amazing. Educational attainment, taxes, etc. So again, you have the ability to share this report. We have one for each community. So one of the things that I recommend is if you're a community, for sure, we can absolutely build something like this for your community, and we can connect all of the systems that work together. But if you aren't looking for your own application, you can simply get the link to your community data, copy this, embed this in your website underneath community data, and your user would go to this page live in the state application. Now, the challenge, of course, is if you're doing this with properties, and how I would recommend doing this with properties is putting all of the community properties in. You can put them in a folder if you want. You can search properties by community, and then you can create that link and you can embed that on your website, because at least you're providing them with something. The biggest challenge is that, of course, if they come to this site, you're now competing with the rest of the state and they're no longer on your website. So that's just something to think about, but it's a great way for you to have this data and take advantage of having this data at your fingertips from the state, and without having to make that expense on your own. We also have compare communities. So we all know that different prospects will make decisions based on multiple things, and sometimes we don't lose projects to the community right next door. We lose prospects to maybe the community across the state. Okay, so let me go. We're just going to go right up here. I probably should have done communities before. Compare communities, and we're going to go to our counties. That'll be it. That'll give us a little bit more information. So I'm going to just choose a community, and I'm going to enter in my community. I'm Richland County, South Carolina. There's going to be quite a population difference here, and I understand that. You can see that they're mapped automatically, and I can compare side by side the different communities. Now we have a huge difference in demographics. We kind of knew that, but at least it allows you to see the different subcategories of each report. I have labor force, consumer expenditures, and our census data. So what is so interesting about this information, and I love to show, is you saw the big difference in demographics and how those compare, and they really don't. They're completely apples and oranges. But look at our consumer expenditures. Look at how that completely changed. And so you've got some shoppers in Somerset County for sure. And apparently in Richland County, I'm not doing my part, because I can see there's more here I can do to kind of change the scale. But that's, I think, the part that's so different, is that you can really see, even though there's a big population difference, sometimes those consumer expenditures can really justify some of those retail stores that you're looking to attract to your community. And again, you've got that share button, so you have the ability to share that with your prospect. The census data here is a little bit different. It's by American Community Survey, and so it's a little bit of a different source than demographics. Essentially, this is Esri data, or what Esri uses is the American Community System, so you have both in here. We just love the demographic information, consumer expenditure information so much from Applied Geographic Solutions. So So Elisa, do we have any questions? I know we're getting close on time. It was a very fast overview, but we want to make sure we answer all the questions that we got.
Yeah, so actually one really good question is it possible to show everything in metric? Because of course, bordering Canada, you will have inquiries you wanting metric systems. So if you go to property and you open the all filters box, Stevie, at the top there.
Oh, okay. Yes,
yeah, no. To the thumbnails. This is something I just learned actually. Open all filters.
Oh, all filters. That's where I saw it. Okay. I was like, oh, I think I saw it. Right here we go. Metric. Yes, somebody gets the cookie. I don't know who asked that question, but that was brilliant.
Yes, exactly.
That was so good. That's so good. I've never been asked that question.
Yeah, I know. We've done this so many times, and every once in a while we get a new question. So we just learned something new, which is amazing. And then
there we go. Look at that. Yeah.
Another question from Sarah, who wants to know, can surrounding businesses and other GIS data be exported when you're looking at those reports?
Surrounding businesses. So
when you like the business report, can you export? I assume Sarah got that wrong.
Let's look at our business information. So I've got here one, and Elisa, I'm going to need your
kilometer.
Okay, 1 kilometer here, and I can actually modify that and go out further. So you can see my site here is in the middle, and these are all the surrounding businesses. And so this is going to be a report of the different businesses we have. I can select full service restaurants, and it's going to actually label these restaurants for me, so it gets quite detailed in this information. And then yes, you can share it, you can export it, you can print it to attach. So there's multiple ways to export that data and use it in a variety of formats.
Great. Sarah, I hope that answers your question. You can, of course, always reach out to us. Oh, she wants to know, can you export it as a GIS layer? That's
no, you cannot export that at this time to a GIS layer, as a GIS layer, but I will chat with our team. I'm not sure. Our best ideas come from our clients. And so if this is something that we've heard before that is like, oh, we've been asked this before, this could be a really great way, a new implementation we can add as a new feature, then that could be. So let me talk to them about that and see. I've never been asked that question. So Maine gets cookies. I mean, I don't, y'all are on it with the questions.
Yes, okay, she says, yeah, that would be great. If it would be possible to export as a shape file, that would be really interesting. So yes, excellent. Okay, we can definitely look into that for you. I know we're coming up at the end of our time. Ben, was there anything that you wanted to add here or questions that you wanted us to answer?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe the people with the admin accounts can review a lot of these questions they may have in the university's site.
Absolutely.
And we have an amazing help desk.
Yeah. So just so you see that that's all there. And you can reach out to us at support@gisplanning.com. I'm at marketing@gisplanning.com, info@gisplanning.com. So if you have a question that you can't figure out from our help resources, we are very responsive. It's one of the things we pride ourselves on. You just get in touch with us and we would be happy to help you answer that.
Very good. Well, thank you so much.
I'm going to bring this up on the screen just so that we could show everyone our contact information. So just as we close out here, Stevie, I'm just going to grab the controls back for a moment so that everybody can see this. You also have Ben's contact information up there. Probably many of you have this already. Support at GIS Planning with questions. I help all our clients with the marketing, using the tool for marketing. And of course, if you're a community within Maine and you're interested in having an example or an instance of ZoomProspector limited to your geography, those can sync with the statewide ones so that then the properties would be able to possibly be shared back and forth. So you can reach out to Stevie for more information about that. With that, I would say, Stevie, this was a fantastic overview. Ben, it has just been a pleasure to work with you and your team at the Maine Department of Economic and Community Development, and we look forward to connecting with all of you. If you have questions, you know how to find us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks,
You too.
everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.